The movie opens up with Lao Xing, a Chinese guy who is trying to escape after looting the Bank of England. While trying to hide from the police, Lao Xing walks up to the road and climbs a tree. There, he notices a scientist, Phileas Fogg, experimenting with his new invention with his valet as a volunteer. Phileas is trying to break the human record of 50 miles per hour speed with his newly invented machine. However, as soon as the scientist mentions the risk of participating in the experiment, his valet refuses to volunteer and quits the job. Meanwhile, Lao observes all this from the tree. Just then, the police officers arrive near him, and as a result, Lao panics and falls in front of Phileas. Desperate to evade the police, he disguises himself as a new valet and agrees to volunteer for the experiment. When Phileas tells him that he only accepts French valets, Lao lies that he is of French origin. Phileas instructs him to operate his machine and signals the start of the equipment. Moments after the experiment begins, Lao succeeds in breaking the 50-mile-per-hour record, making the scientist very happy. However, when the speed increases, the track breaks and Lao is sent flying. He only stops after striking a metal post. Soon, Phileas approaches him and thanks him for his participation, but Lao decides to leave, citing that his experiments are dangerous. Unfortunately, as he attempts to walk away, a group of police officers arrive there. This compels Lao to accept the scientist's offer and serve him as his new valet. In the next scene, the scientist brings Lao to his house and asks about his name. Lao lies to him and introduces himself as Passepartout. Phileas thinks that his name is a bit strange, but decides to ignore it. He then takes him to his invention room and tells him about his dream to construct a flying machine in the near future. This impresses Lao, as he thinks Phileas's ideas and visions are great. Later at night, when he's alone, Lao writes a letter to his father, mentioning that he has succeeded in getting back the Jade Buddha's statue from the Bank of England, and will soon bring it to their village. Here it is revealed that the statue was stolen from Lao's village, and since then, the village has been facing a number of problems. Meanwhile, the news of the Bank of England getting robbed reaches the director of the Royal Academy of Science, Lord Kelvin. This angers him, as he was interested in the Buddha statue. Wasting no time, he calls General Fang, the same gangster who stole the statue from Lao's village and brought it to England. Lord Kelvin threatens her to find the statue or else he will not pay her. With no options left, General Fang begins the search along with her henchmen. The next day, Phileas and Lao arrive at the Royal Academy of Science, where Phileas meets Lord Kelvin and announces about his successful experiment. He tells everyone present there that he has successfully broken the record of human traveling at 50 miles per hour speed. Despite this, Lord Kelvin laughs at Phileas, titling his experiment as a useless one and of no importance to human society. He also mentions that humans live in a golden era where no new inventions are required for them. Later, they discuss the bank robbery. An enraged Phileas states that he is delighted about the bank being robbed as the statue was obsolete. He also mentions that there's no point in looking for the robber, as he might have already reached China. Hearing this, Lord Kelvin gets enraged and replies that it's impossible to reach China so fast. But Phileas replies that it's possible. As a result, Lord Kelvin challenges Phileas to achieve a world trip in 80 days. Phileas accepts, but he puts on some conditions of his own. If he loses, he will dismantle his laboratory and cease any further inventions. However, if he wins, he will succeed Lord Kelvin as Minister of Science. To everyone's surprise, Lord Kelvin accepts the conditions, as he believes that it's impossible to travel around the world in just 80 days. In the next scene, Phileas is at his house, lamenting over his challenge with Lord Kelvin. Seeing Phileas upset, Lao approaches him and encourages him to start the preparations. He tells Phileas that if he believes that they can travel around the world in 80 days, then he is ready to accompany him. This encourages Phileas, and he vows to make it work. While Lao is acting all supportive from the outside, he's just pretending to help so that he can return to his village in China. The following day, Phileas and Lao prepare to leave for their journey in a machine-powered carriage. Sadly, they are stopped by a corrupt police officer who informs them that their vehicle is not eligible to drive around the place according to the law. Because of this, Phileas and Lao are forced to leave their vehicle. They then borrow a horse carriage to catch a boat to Paris. Here it is revealed that the corrupt officer is actually sent by Lord Kelvin to stop Phileas from going on a world tour. The following day, Phileas and Lao arrive at Paris, where Lao is made to ask the station employee about the next train to Germany. While Passepartout Passepartout is pretending to speak French, he notices a group of General Fang's men, dispatched to recover the Jade Buddha from him. Desperate to get away from the group, Lao takes Phileas to a nearby art gallery. There, Phileas meets Monique, a beautiful painter, and becomes attracted to one of her paintings. Just then, General Fang's men spot Lao, and they follow him to the art academy. Surprisingly, Lao fights all of them single-handedly and knocks him down, showcasing his brilliant martial arts skills. Moments later, Passepartout abruptly makes his way back to Phileas and informs him that they are running late for their journey. Hearing this, Monique also requests to join the men on their trip around the world, as she wants to get more ideas for her paintings. Since Phileas is attracted to her, he agrees right away. After a while, they board a hot air balloon, and as they are about to depart for Germany, Fang's men again attack Lao. Fortunately, even this time, he succeeds in evading the bad guys. Later, while they are in the hot air balloon, Phileas asks Lao about the men he was fighting some time ago. Lao quickly makes up a story and tells that the people were his friends, who were trying to stop him from leaving. Though Phileas believes his lie, Monique is skeptical about it. In the following scene, while they are traveling on a train, Phileas feels that the train is traveling at a very slow speed and decides to have a word with the operator. After he departs, Monique confronts Lao about his fake appearance. At first, Lao refuses to speak, but when she threatens to expose him to Phileas, he tells her everything about the Jade Buddha statue that he stole for his village. The next day, while they are on their way to Turkey, the same corrupt officer arrives at the train and tries to arrest Lao. However, he cleverly deceives him and chucks him out of the moving train. Soon, they reach Turkey, where Prince Happy welcomes them. Happy is instantly smitten by Monique, so he decides to make her his seventh wife and orders Phileas and Lao to leave. The men appear to depart, but when they reach a bit far, they grab a precious statue and threaten to break it if Monique is not released. Seeing his favorite statue in danger, Prince Happy agrees to release Monique. Following this, the three run away from the palace. Back in England, when Lord Kelvin learns about Phileas's journey and the Jade Buddha's theft, he gets enraged. Later, he also discovers that Phileas has been unknowingly assisting a robber to escape. Using this as leverage, Lord Kelvin and his assistants order the British colonial authorities in India to detain both individuals, aiming to delay Phileas's journey. When the group arrives in India, Lao alerts his companions after noticing the group of police officers searching for them. They somehow manage to dodge the police by disguising themselves as local ladies. But to their bad luck, General Fang's men, the Black Scorpions, recognize Lao and confront him. A lengthy fight ensues, but Lao and his friends eventually succeed in escaping to China. In the following scene, Lao guides Phileas and Monique to a village, where they are warmly welcomed. They stay there for many days, during which Phileas learns that his valet, Passepartout, is actually Lao Xing, a local fighter. He also learns that the Black Scorpions have been attacking them frequently to get a hold of the Jade Buddha. Phileas is devastated by the revelation, and he gets more annoyed when he finds out that Monique already knew all this. Enraged, he decides to leave them behind and continue the journey on his own. Unfortunately, when he steps outside the house, the Black Scorpions capture him. In the next scene, Phileas, Monique, and Lao Xing can be seen captured inside a wooden box. After a while, the Scorpions start threatening Phileas, and seeing this, Lao Xing challenges the group leader to fight with him. Surprisingly, the leader agrees, and Lao is freed. The two then engage in a fight, but Lao is comprehensively beaten. Just then, another group, the 10 Tigers, arrive there and start attacking the Scorpions. Here it is revealed that Lao is also a member of the 10 Tigers. Despite being outnumbered, the 10 Tigers force the Black Scorpions out of the settlement and set Phileas and Monique free. Following this, the village temple is re-established with the Jade Buddha statue. Later, Phileas departs from the place and continues his journey alone. He reaches San Francisco, where he is robbed by a swindler. Now, he has no money to eat, let alone travel the world. Things get so desperate that he starts begging, but fortunately, Lao and Monique find him. Turns out that the two were secretly following him. Soon, the trio resume their journey. It's the 66th day, and the group is in a desert. There, they bump into the Wright brothers, and Phileas immediately becomes drawn to their ideas. Soon, the three scientists start discussing a flying machine, and the Wright brothers show their plans. Phileas is impressed, but he nonetheless suggests some changes. Later, the group boards a train and arrives in New York City on their 72nd day. There, they are welcomed by a massive crowd, making it impossible for them to reach their ship on time. Meanwhile, a policeman promises to help them by escorting them through a shortcut. However, after reaching a bit far, he attacks them and brings them to General Fang. Soon, an intense fight ensues between the two groups, but Lao, with the help of his buddies, eventually defeats General Fang's men. In the next scene, they approach the owner of an ancient ship and convince him to let them sail. However, Phileas realizes that they will never reach London in time, as the ship is too slow. As a result, he asks the captain for his permission to construct a flying machine from the ship's old wood. He also mentions that if he wins the bet, he will give the captain a brand new boat. Hearing this, the captain becomes excited and immediately accepts. Soon, the construction of the aircraft begins, with some changes in the Wright brothers' original blueprints. After a few hours of hard work, they succeed in building a flying machine. With the help of a catapult, the ship crew helps them launch the machine, and the three fly off to reach London. Unfortunately, when they are flying over London, the strings that are supporting the wings of the machine break, and they are compelled to crash land in front of the Royal Academy of Science. The clock soon reaches noon, the time Phileas began his journey. Moments later, Lord Kelvin arrives there and dispatches police officers to prevent Phileas from reaching his real destination, the summit of the Royal Academy of Science. With Phileas arrested, Lord Kelvin proclaims himself the winner of the bet. Monique and several other ministers try to speak out against Kelvin's unfair tactics to stop Phileas, but the cunning man simply laughs them off. He also states that he will not take orders from a woman. Unbeknownst to him, the Queen is standing right behind him. Hearing his derogatory words about women, she immediately orders her officers to arrest him. In the last scene, the Queen informs Phileas that he still has time to complete his bet, as it is his 79th day. Turns out that he is in fact 1 day early, thanks to the international dateline. The Queen then declares Phileas the new Minister of Science and the director of the Royal Academy of Science. The movie ends with Phileas making his way up the Academy steps, where he meets Monique and embraces her after winning his bet.